produced show the different pharmaceutical activity. So you should prepare, synthesize, or commercialize one of the drugs, either right-handed or left-handed. So our method helped greatly in this respect. So then our achievement was recognized by a Nobel Prize in 2001. I was given the certificate of the gold medal from the king of Sweden. This is a gold medal, and this is a certificate showing a set of shells. The left-handed shell is beautiful, while the right-handed shell is ugly, showing the importance of asymmetric synthesis, allowing for the single-handed drugs, either right or left. Well, so obviously, we've been involved for many years in green chemistry. But I would say the green chemistry is not a mere catchphrase, but an indispensable principle that will sustain our civilized societies in the 21st century. I will emphasize that this concept is not a matter of clear-cut scientific or technical expertise, but rather a serious social issue. In order to materialize our research goal in the real world, we need a rational, long-term program supported by public understanding, governmental policy, and worldwide cooperation. So it's extremely important for the survival of human beings. Well, this is my final message to young students in Malaysia. Well, science is objective, but it's a human intelligence and endeavor that discover and create scientific knowledge. Therefore, the way of thinking is highly dependent on the cultural background. Looking back the history of science, including chemistry, the wonderful tradition was introduced largely from Europe and America. However, Asian scientists also have made significant contribution through ideas based on Asia's long history and unique cultural background. I do hope that in the 21st century, a bigger role will be played by young scientists from rapidly progressing countries of Asia-Pacific region. I believe that scientists from different cultural backgrounds and with different values, both men and women, will be able to create new science and make life better for all of mankind. I will say the science world is flat. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Mayori. It's very inspiring lecture. How he shows chemistry, the importance of chemistry to our daily lives.
is right, yes.
I'd say the science is borderless, right? But scientists have their home runs. That's a statement of ingenious scientist Louis Pasteur. I very often recall that statement. Science is objective and is borderless. However, our thinking, I think, is based on our cultural background. Okay? Our thinking is very much different from Westerners, Americans and British. That's based on our very long, very unique history. That's quite important. And now the European and American scientists are doing the cutting edge scientific research. But their way of thinking is just limited. Probably the Western thinking is characterized by the reductionism based on the long history. So probably a characteristic of our thinking is some sort of holism. Okay? So probably, well, in this context, education is very important. So currently, the school education is quite uniform, regardless of the nation. Probably family education would be very much different. So that's why I emphasize the importance of the family education. Right? Textbook content is not very much different between the UK, America, and Malaysia. But what grandparents are teaching to their grandson, that's very much different. How do you get inspired? I think the culture is very, very important. Don't you agree with me? Yes?
Okay, next question. Yes, Professor Gary.
I'd like to congratulate you on a very sweeping talk, sir. You talk about green chemistry. Would you like to give some examples and elucidate some of these pharmaceutical companies that have manufactured drugs that use green chemistry?
Green chemistry?
Yeah. If you could like to give some examples of the drugs which have been manufactured currently using the concept of green chemistry.
So the understanding of the public and the government is extremely important. Now the green processes are rather expensive, more expensive than the conventional processes. Okay? So if the process is rather small size, we have no problem. But if you could make a compound like nylon in large quantity, that will cause lots of problems. So we should collaborate each other worldwide to enhance, to promote the green chemistry. Otherwise, we are unable to survive. Right? So, in some aspects, the chemists have an immense or major responsibility. Okay? So sometimes we discard the toxic metallic agent and so on. That's our responsibility, right? But who are asking to make the cheap. Second, okay, and because of the cheapness, then the people discard the plastic and so on. That's not chemist's responsibility. That's a responsibility of people, right? So we should persuade the general public not to make such a big waste. So that's why I mentioned green chemistry is not a simple or scientific or technological expertise, but a social issue, right? To keep our planet very clean. Important. Okay? The most important is the succession of our species and also the continuation of our culture. Okay? So, however, the current industry activity connected with the commercial is hampering this important subject. So we should teach the general public. That's quite important. Otherwise, the general public cannot understand what's wrong.
Yes, we have another question. Yes, please. Yes, use the mic.
Good morning. Firstly, congratulations to your presentation and to your accomplishment. I'd like to ask you, Professor, on your concluding statement, science and technology of Asia. Now, I'm from private sector, and I think for Asia to achieve more rapid progress in research, now I'd like to seek your view in this connection. Now, the initiative, firstly, of course, from private sector entrepreneurs, they've got a lot of ideas, but the question of research facilities and the capability, including funding. The other, of course, government policy towards research. And of course, thirdly, the academia. I mean, in this connection, for research to be undertaken at more rapid pace and for more things to be discovered. Now, which component? Is it the private sector or the academia or government policy? Which should actually take the prime mover to drive this research initiative? Thank you.
Well, I think the government policy is extremely important. So far, the scientific activity is the initiative was taken by academic people. That's not enough. So the governmental policy is, I think, the most important. I would add one thing. The sense of value of the scientists and engineers is different between the Western people, advanced countries, regions, and the developing countries. European and American science, very long tradition. And scientists are still interested largely in the cutting edge scientific research, particularly in basic science, in academia. Asia is different. Asian countries are facing more urgent social and global issues, like water, climate, food, emerging infectious diseases, and many others. Okay? So probably thinking of the Asian scientists and engineers are more practical. We should collaborate each other worldwide. Okay? I feel that I'm working in Japan, and most of our best students after graduation, after getting degrees, would go to the United States highly biased to that direction. Okay. I don't blame that's wrong. That's correct. But we Japanese young scientists should recognize the situation in the real world. So I strongly encourage one student to interact with young Asian students and researchers. Thereby, we are taught the real situation in the world. Okay. So probably we have both East and West have a very long tradition in research. The situation is completely different. I mean, the conditions for the survival of our nations, our countries, and regions are highly dependent on the region, not uniform. Right? But they are all interactive. So we need some integrated strategy for the survival of our species.
Yes, that's it, please.
Thank you, Professor, for giving us a very inspiring picture, particularly the motivation for people to go to chemistry. I'm going to ask your two opinions, but I have three consultations. One is that we always debate between basic work and applied work and so on. And I thought one way to overcome this is to help people to do mission-oriented research, particularly in developing countries, in which we require both fundamental in some cases and also applied. Use both strategies to solve the problem.
Yes.
Yeah. So that is one comment on that. The other one is, I'm not in the field of hybridization, but very interested in your asymmetric hybridization. I want to get your views. Maybe this work has been done, or what is a possible approach for hybridization to be selective on position.
Yes.
For example, in the triglyceride molecule,
Yes.
1,3 versus 2 position.
Yes.
Whether work has been done in this area, or what is the approach to select a type of catalyst to concentrate on 1,3 instead of 2 position.
Well, I think we are using molecular catalyst rather than heterogeneous catalyst. So molecules can recognize the difference in the position or even the chirality in stereotypes. So that's our approach to differentiate the position and also the chirality. Molecule is so precise. So yes. So if you understand the real properties of the molecule, then you can recognize the difference. So I agree with you. Both fundamental research and applied sciences are important. But so Beacon is conducting research on the fundamental science and also mission-oriented research. And we are doing very well in this context in many kinds of useful knowledge is accumulating. So how to utilize our knowledge in a real society. So then we are now constructing so-called the bottom zone. Okay? So in the past, the academia, particularly the university, did basic research. hard sciences, the physics and so on, right? But it's very difficult to make a data transfer in life sciences. Okay. We have many kinds of buttons, but the next runner is waiting 100 meters ahead. So there is a big gap between the our sector and the industrial sector, right? That's and then we started to collaborate with the industrial sector by making some buttons to run this in a parallel fashion, right? So that's a problem in Japan. In the past 10 years, our government donated big money to the basic science, basic life sciences, and we did good research. But the government and the general public complain. What's the result of this? So we are discussing with the government how to make technological transfer efficient from the basic sector, science sector to the industrial sector.
Okay, any more questions from the audience? Yes, Prof. Kam, just hold on. Prof. Kam, please.
Yeah, you mentioned that the Western mindset or worldview is reductionistic, and you contrasted that with the Asian one, which you consider as more holistic. So how is the Asian, in your opinion, how is the Asian mindset or worldview more holistic?
Of course,
I think I was talking about...
now the exchange is quite frequent, so the way of thinking is overlapping. Okay, but
I think I got you saying that, the Asian...
Asian holism.
Pardon?
The Asian
The Asian...
is characterized by the holism.
more holistic approach compared to the reductionism of the West. So, in what way is it more holistic?
What way?
Yeah.
Well, I think we can. Well, how to materialize the result. So, well, collaboration, cooperation is quite important. Of course, our individual holistic thinking. Right? So, however, it's not enough. Right? So now the problem of the education is over specialization. That came from Newton. Right? So, however, nature is nature. Same word.
As you mentioned, the tradition of science in universities from the West, that comes from a very long tradition.
Yes.
And it is rooted in some key beliefs in freedom, for example, and the ability to express oneself, freedom of the human spirit. I think these things are important in science.
Yes.
Don't you think so?
Yeah, important.
And I think to draw from your own experience, your research
personally concentrate on the basic fundamental research. But I have many friends around myself, and they are joining us to apply our knowledge in industry. So I was not a servant of the industry, but I have many friends in industrial sectors taking our knowledge with us. That's my way.
Okay, see, the relationship between the scientists and the community is very important.
Very important.
Yes, we have another question from a colleague from engineering. Please introduce yourself.
Good morning, I'm Dr. Yu from Chemical Engineering. I'm interested to know what are your views on some educational aspects. Nowadays, our knowledge has expanded so widely, so it becomes increasingly frightening to a newcomer, say a young student, high school student, for him to, or her to enroll in, say, chemistry or science and technology type classes, and then find out that he knows almost nothing. There's so much out there, and this can be quite demoralizing in some sense to the student as well as to a young researcher who